Good morning, everyone. My name is Cristóvão JMO Jr. It's a bit of a mouthful, so people know me as Chris. I lead the partnerships and infrastructure over at Hosted AI. So today, I want to start with something very simple. I'm actually here to talk about why Cape Town is better than Joburg. I'm joking. Yeah, but seriously, guys, raise your hand if you've possibly used ChatGPT this week. Okay, so everyone. Google Maps, maybe? Okay, perfect. So if you look around the room, everybody's hand is pretty much up. And that's pretty much AI in your life every single day. If you think about something as simple as WhatsApp, depending on which version you have, we already have Meta AI, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, WhatsApp. We have them allowing you to write your own emails. They allow you to write your school assignments, and you can literally ask for relationship advice on Meta. I mean, that's pretty scary considering they have pretty much all of your DMs. So, all right. Contrary to what my grandma would have thought, this is actually not magic. This all runs on compute. And every question that you ask ChatGPT, every route Google Map takes you to, this is all compute. Every fraud alert that your bank fires at you in milliseconds, it's all compute. Every time you use it, every time anyone on this company uses it, in this continent uses it, the request doesn't stay there. It actually travels thousands of miles to a data center in Virginia, in Frankfurt, or even in Singapore. It gets processed, and it comes back to you in seconds. You experience this magic, and somebody else owns the machine. Africa is a 1.4 billion continent. Every hospital, every farm, every classroom, and every business every day uses this. And this is the largest quiet transfer of the economic value in Africa's modern history. So I want to give you the simplest possible way to think about compute. You can think of it as electricity. You don't think about electricity when you flip the light on. It's just there. But the moment that it's gone, nothing works. I still have memories from the glory days of our glorious and precious load shedding. That's pretty much what happens when you don't have compute. And compute is the electricity of AI. Without it, there's no ChatGPT, there's no fraud detection, there's no AI watching crops from the sky or predicting floods before they even happen. Everything we associate with modern AI needs compute to run. So I want you to picture two developers, one in San Francisco and one right here in Joburg. Same idea, same skills, same ambition. The developer in San Francisco builds an AI model, they run a test, they find a bug, and they fix it. They test again, and the whole cycle only takes about 30 minutes. The developer here in Joburg, they do the exact same thing. They run the test, and they wait, and they wait. And only after 6 days does the result come back. 6 days versus 30 minutes, and that's not a small gap. It literally obliterates all competitiveness. Only 5% of Africa's AI developers and researchers actually have access to the compute that they need. 95% of them are locked out, not because they're not talented enough, but not because their ideas aren't good enough, but because the infrastructure is simply not there. Now, here is where it actually gets interesting. Help me, guys. I actually only learned about all of this an hour ago when I was preparing for this presentation. So, South Africa controls 70% of all data center capacity on the African continent. Meaning that the buildings are actually here, the internet cables are here, Google, Microsoft, AWS, all of them chose South Africa when they were choosing where to build this. Yet, only 1% of the world's AI compute is actually here. The gap between 70% of Africa's capacity and 1% of the global AI compute is the opportunity that we should be looking into. Okay, so before I actually explain what that ecosystem looks like, I want to show you what becomes possible when African communities actually get access to AI. In Nairobi, OpenAI, ChatGPT's parent organization, partnered up with a network of primary healthcare clinics. Across 40,000 patients, an AI tool actually helped doctors catch diagnostic mistakes that they would have otherwise missed. Mistakes dropped by 16%. That means fewer people died from the things that were entirely preventable. In Malawi, smallholder farmers are actually getting crop advice and weather forecasts from AI chatbots. Not in English, not in American English especially, but in Chichewa, their national language. This is beautiful, guys. Their local language, built specifically for them, not a foreign interface that nobody relates to. And this is what a context-based solution is. Across 41 African countries, Google's AI model forecasts exactly where rivers will flood up to 7 days in advance. I think this is beautiful. All right. So let me just actually skip this. All right. So AI compute, the AI compute ecosystem is just like a city. A functioning city needs roads, it needs buildings, it needs electricity, and most importantly, people. If you remove any one of those, everything stops working. So the buildings, these are the data centers that we talk about. This is where the hardware lives. You need the engines, these are the chips, these are the GPUs that we all need every single day that actually run AI. Most of these GPUs are actually situated in America and Europe. We need them right here in Africa. You need the operating system, the software that lets the building serve as many users as possible efficiently without waste. So essentially it's like turning a hotel into an Airbnb for AI compute. And that's what makes the infrastructure scalable and affordable. Right. So in practice, I'm going to talk a little bit about Hosted AI, which is our company. Right, so this is actually what we've built. We've built Hosted AI, which is a software that lets data centers service up to 5 times more AI customers from the same exact hardware that they have. So if you think about it, we have a multi-tenancy GPU infrastructure on physical servers. What this means is that we actually allow you to slice, allocate, and build GPU capacity across from multiple customers on the same hardware, almost like what Airbnb did. We have GPUasaservice.com, which is our marketplace. We allow you to rent GPUs from data centers that have excess capacity. And we have Packet AI, which is a self-service AI compute, where you sign up, you get access, and you pay as you go. This is more for individual builders who don't need as much compute. So guys, I want to leave us with a small thought. In 1999, the internet was being built. The companies that own the cables, the servers, the platforms, they captured most of the value very early. What this means is that they actually orchestrated how people communicated, how businesses operated, and Africa was a mere consumer of what everyone else had built. The AI infrastructure is actually the new internet. The platforms haven't been locked in yet. The ecosystem is still being decided. The window is open. AI isn't the future, it's now. The African Development Bank projects that AI could add about $1 trillion to Africa's GDP by 2035. So this is the choice that we have as Africans. Africa can be a consumer of AI compute. We can keep waiting for the infrastructure to arrive, built by somebody else, priced for someone else, and owned by somebody else. I actually heard something recently, and it was along the lines of, the next trillionaires will not be tech geniuses. The next trillionaires are not going to be the next Elon Musks, and quite frankly, I think one of them is enough. They're going to be creatives. They're going to be normal people. They're going to be people who understand the problem deeply, and they're creative enough to try to solve it. The people who are smart enough to use AI. That person could be sitting in the room with us right now, but only if the infrastructure actually exists to support them. Without infrastructure, it is nothing. We've been the raw material for very long. The talent is here, the hunger is here, the problems we're solving are here, and now we build. And in Shakira's 2010 World Cup song, she said this time for Africa, and so will I. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Crystal. Thank you. So, do we have a question for Crystal? I want to bring up one of his last slide here, seconds. So, if you are building, if you run a data center in South Africa, or you know someone that runs data center in South Africa, you need to talk to Crystal. Or maybe if you're a developer, maybe a startup, and you're looking for compute solution, you need to see him after the event. Thank you so much. Do we have any question for him?
I have two questions, right? So the problem you guys are solving, it's a great problem, right? Because data sovereignty is, so data sovereignty is obviously important, right? But then I would love to know, especially when you guys, when demands and you guys start to scale, right? How will you tackle the energy problem, right? Because as we know with data centers, they consume a lot of energy and a lot of water, right? And already in Africa, as much as we have a lot of resources, but then we still have energy issues. Even before we even talk about AI, already in industry, we already have that energy issue. So when how are you looking on tackling that part?
So let me understand your question correctly. You're talking about the sustainability of it.
Yes.
That's actually a very good question. At this point in time, it's not necessarily something that as hosted AI we are doing. We don't own the data centers. We're actually a software. Hosted AI is a software that allows you to virtualize the GPUs. So I think this is a collaboration that hosted AI could have with the data centers. We work with multiple international providers, and essentially what we do is we allow them to maximize the use of their GPUs. We know that a lot of them sit idle, so we help them. So think about it, the Airbnb example that I gave you. You have a 3-bedroom house, you only use one of them, you can rent out the 2 other ones to somebody else for a short time. That's essentially what we do. However, the sustainability part of it is very important, and I think it's something that we will look at as well.
Okay, and then, so my second question, right? And then this is more from a compute perspective, right? So we know with AI, you need compute for inference, right? I'm not sure if you're familiar with inference, right? So I would love to know, as AI progresses, right? Do you think we will still demand a lot of compute, or would I be able to run an artificial intelligence like on my personal device, or do you still think there will still be a need for us to build out all this compute? Because I see a lot of these companies, they're putting a lot of investments into these data centers. So I'd love to know, is that something even in the future that we'll need?
So just to see if I've understood the question correctly, is with development, would we actually need the magnitude of these data centers? Or can we compact them and actually make them usable on your mobile phones?
So what I'm asking is, if and will we need them, right? So what I'm asking is, will there be demand for this compute? Like especially if you see in China what they're doing with these models, they want to make them more efficient, right? So that it can run on your cell phone. So if a model can run on your cell phone, do we still need those data centers?
Good question once again. I will admit I don't have the full answer to that, but what I'll say is this. A few years ago, crypto, you had a lot of crypto miners who obviously needed a lot of compute. And as soon as that started dying down in the later years, I mean, it's not dead. I'm not going to say it's dead. But we had a lot of Bitcoin farmers who actually turned into neoclouds. And they turned into GPU providers, who are actually some of our partners nowadays. So I think that what I'm trying to say is we will adapt. I think one thing that we're good at as human beings is adapting. So we will find a way to adapt. Thank you.
We are moving into the panel session now, and I'm going to hand the mic over to Imansu, and we're going to be talking about AI to market, turning urgent automation into real business outcome. And over to you.
Thanks so much, Jude. If I can call on the panelists as well, we give you a round of applause for the panelists. I'm Himanshu Kika. I'm the co-founder of Disruptor. We are an AWS advanced tier consulting services provider. We are also an accelerator/venture studio, and we help startups scale through engineering excellence. We run a couple of programs. So one of the big ones we're running right now is our AI Readiness Accelerator, where we're helping startups get ready for AI, scale their business, and get invested in corporate ready through technical due diligence. We're also running something called an AI Founder Bootcamp, which is basically to help people in the MVP stage, the concept stage, to build a working MVP for the customers. And as of recent, we've also launched something called an MVP Studio, where if you're in the ideation stage or concept stage and looking to build a scalable MVP, what could take, perfect, thank you. What could take like 6 to 12 months to build, we're in the process of helping to build that within 3 months. So if you want to find out more about it, please have a chat with me. But of course, I'd like the panelists to introduce themselves, and then we can take it from there.
My name is Sietaro Kamado. I'm a co-founder and CEO of a company called Cybergenics. So, what we do is we build security specifically for healthcare AI models. So think of your adversarial attacks, prompt injections, etc. So we try to secure AI. Sorry. Yeah, so we basically built security for healthcare AI models. So we started off as a generalist cybersecurity. It's perfect now. Okay. So we started off as generic security company, and then we scaled rapidly as we saw that the healthcare market was very, I'll say, underserved. So that's where the pool and the market was for security. So we decided to pivot into healthcare AI security, and that's what led us to where we are today. So let's pass it over now to Eric.
Hi everyone, I'm Taz, CEO and co-founder of Movie on AI. And the aim for that app is to have all the languages, all subjects being taught in all the different languages. So basically you can learn maths or physics in your home language, and that's the idea. Okay, I'll hand over to Mufta.
Thank you. Hi, can you hear me? Perfect. Okay, so I'm the founder of SM Web Systems. Essentially what we do is we operate around 4 pillars. The one would be licensing, compliance, ensuring that your business kind of meets the government requirements, and also seeing how we can push the narrative to the government to actually say this is what we need around licensing, or this is what we need around AI. One thing that right now is the policies that are being proposed, and how is AI going to be made available to the average South African who might have access to technology or might not. Essentially, on the other side is we have a development studio where we build in-house products, mainly focusing on Web3 and AI, a little bit of ML as well. So we have Amma Wallet, which is a wallet for cryptocurrency. We've got Mama Tokens, which is focused on pregnancy. And then we have, LMS, where we provide education and training. And then there is a stablecoin project that we're about to release that basically focuses on what actually is happening in terms of Africa, how much volume is moving from one country to another country, how can we get investors to actually see that fintech in Africa is taking place. And then we have a Passproof, which is a wallet, not a wallet, basically manages your KYC. So obviously if you're using KYC in medical, you need to manage that data, you need to have it available. You can use that solution across a variety of industries because KYC can also apply in terms of logistics. How do you know you're receiving the right product? What's being managed? How is it shipped? Essentially, that's that side. And then we also provide training to other developers. We have partnered with other solutions. So some of the solutions are basically white labels. We will give them to other companies so that they can actually use them for their demographic. So while we focus on, with our training, we focus on Web3, AI, cybersecurity. We'd also give it to like Zwane Solutions, for example, and their focus is teaching kids maths. So university, so basically primary school, high school, and university, they will provide maths education. And that needs to be made available and disseminated in a way where it's accessible by everyone. And essentially those are, I think that's pretty much everything. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone, for the breakdown. He is an entrepreneur by profession. Entrepreneur. Okay, that's great. Who here is an investor? Okay, please get to It's okay. Visit as a nice. So we have a couple of investors. Brilliant. So what I want to do next is I want you all to raise your hands. Right? Everyone just put it out straight up. Everyone, as we can. Okay, so I want you to keep your hand raised if you're exploring an AI tool to solve a business need or a customer problem. Keep your hand raised. Everyone. Okay? Brilliant. Keep your hand raised if you manage to build a working POC or an MVP. Keep your hand raised. Oh, that's significantly dropped. Okay. And keep your hand raised if that POC or MVP that you built has progressed to a live production product that's actually generating revenue. Keep your hand raised. And it's following more. Alright? Keep your hand raised. Keep your hand raised if your POC or MVP has translated into a live product that's generating revenue. Okay, some important deliberations happening there. Alright, so to the panelists, right? Do you see the gap that we have here? That's the gap that we're going to aim to fill today. Is from all those hands that were up, from I'm testing to those hands that were just remaining on I'm actually generating revenue. That's the gap that we're going to aim to fill today. So there's three themes that I'm going to cut across today in our panel discussion. The first is a business theme, which is around, okay, these tools are really cool, but do they meet business objectives, right? And what's the work that goes on behind it? Secondly, these tools now, when it comes to actually building them, what are the technical considerations? And then thirdly, I also want to look at the African lens, right? How do we compare to the rest of the world that are building with the same AI tools? Right, so starting off with the first theme, a question to you guys, and feel free to choose whoever would like to answer. What's the difference between what is a cool AI project and an actual business outcome? And what's the actual work that needs to go in behind something like that? And I'll open to anyone to answer.
So I think the demo impresses people, but once it's in production, it has to really drive some sort of outcome. So it could be, in our case, reducing risk, or it differs per use case according to the business. So I think most of these deployed AI systems don't fail at the technical layer, but more so in the business layer, because when you're selling to people, you need to speak their language. So I can tell you about how great our model of this Cybertenics is, but if you don't understand it, doesn't speak to you, it's not going to do anything for you. So that's just my thoughts.
And just a follow up on that, when you say speak the customer's language, what is the language? Do they speak Greek or something? What is the language?
No. It's basically what their real pain is. In our case, trust is very important. So if I can't make the AI model more secure, then I'm not speaking the language. So that's really it. So it differs according to businesses specifically. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for this. Yeah.
To add to that, it's more about understanding your customer. A lot of people will try and jump into building a solution to what they think a problem is, and that's great. That is wonderful, because you have an idea of a problem and you have an idea of a solution. But your solution can only work once it's actually tried and tested by real people, and therefore you build an MVP so that you can get feedback and you can then upgrade your product or fix your product according to what the customers actually need.
And in your experience, what does the customer actually really need? So we've got a couple of entrepreneurs, a couple of developers in the room, but what is the need?
I can't speak for everyone in the room, but it's case dependent, obviously. But in essence, what the customer needs is, how can this product save me time, and how can this product save me money? Especially in South Africa. South Africans love money and they love saving money. So it's basically, how can this product save me time and how can it save me money? If it doesn't save time and money, it's not solving a real problem. Yeah.
So saving time and money is a critical thing. What is you, Meetup?
Yeah, so essentially I agree with both of you. Essentially it is about how can you design a product that, as a techie, we focused on the tech. But the tech may be able to do something, but it'll only do something in the perfect environment that we give it. So we need to be able to figure out how we create the tech that actually solves the real world case when it's chaotic, when it's problematic, when everything doesn't work because you've designed a flow and someone puts in another variable and it's now all broken. So I think that's the bigger problem that we need to focus on. But I think the metric that really moves is the results. So you can go into a business and say, I can do this, but how are you actually going to show the results that actually matters to them? So for example, how are you going to reduce waste? How are you going to reduce fraud? How are you going to increase their revenue? Increase their productivity, because those are the biggest metrics that actually move the needle, is actually helping the organization by doing something that's impactful, but also doing something that can deal with the chaos that is production.
Fantastic. And you know, to sum up the theme from our esteemed panelists here is, whilst the question was about the AI tool and the business metric, the answer was always like back to the customer. What is the customer saying? What are their needs? What pain points are we actually solving for them? And I think that's actually very, very critical from a point when we're building things, because now there's tools galore, and your sort of moat right now is your distribution strategy and the customers that are available to you and the problems that you solve for them. So when it comes to now taking an AI build solution, right? So you guys are all founders of tech-specific companies, and you're taking an AI-enabled solution out there. Talk us through the process of how it happens internally, and then how does it go to the customer? What does the planning process actually look like for you? What are the timelines based on your experience of certain projects, and how should things operate? So this is more of the entrepreneurs out there that are looking to implement a lot of AI solutions. So yeah, just in your experience, what's been the process?
Yeah. So essentially you just start off with an idea. You say, this is what I'm thinking about. How does it fit? Go speak to smart friends, go speak to smart members in the industry. They'll be able to tell you, like, look, you have something here, you don't have something here. Then from figuring out that, what you actually need to do is go and walk the street. So go to businesses, ask them, what do they need, what do they want, how does it fit? Then from there you can basically come up with some sort of solution code something that works really badly and then show that to people and see, is this something that's going to work? Do you want to see me develop this more? Because you can spend 6 months on something, but you could waste 6 months. So it's better to find out that, like, at the beginning, no, I don't want this, and how do you want it? How much are you willing to pay for this? Do you want me to develop this, add this feature? And then basically I would say, give it away for free. Because if you can get someone, free is expensive. Like, really, if you try and give something away for free, like, people don't want stuff. Like, they have to retool, they have to train, they have to do a lot of things. So when you're selling it, that friction point is another crazy friction point. But before you get to that friction point, what you can do is give it away for free. You can get users to test it, you can get some user adoption, and that's really like the fastest way to actually scale something into a point where you can actually charge. You can say, here's how much I want to do it for, and then you can actually see where you fit in the market, because you may have designed a solution that fits in medical, but you may find that you're getting more traction around food, and you need to be able to pivot very quickly to actually say, how I'm going to move this product from here to there, and you need to be ready to do that. And that's essentially how I'm developing a new thing.
Just hold the mic there. I like your point on retooling. I think specifically for the developers in the crowd, every solution is a cool, sexy solution, but when you're actually taking it to the customer, the retooling factor is actually really, really important. So just unpack that for me. When you say consider the customer's retooling factor, what do you mean by that?
So essentially, like, retooling, you can either look at it from 2 points of view. Like, you can either look at, like, what does this customer need? Like, in terms of, do you need to add layers to this tool? How can you unpack it to specifically serve their specific needs? But also at the same time, that's also very problematic, because you don't want to design a tool that's for one customer, because if you do that, you've only got one customer and then game over. So you need to retool it. And then the second way of retooling is that basically you take your tool, you've got your target that you want to go after, but then you find that there's another demographic that actually wants to use the tool more, and then you now have to figure out, how can I serve? Do I stay with the one demographic, or do I also serve the second demographic? And what you find with a lot of businesses is that I can't think of an example right now, but you find that the product will fit, but then you also have the secondary market or tertiary market that also wants to adopt the product. And then you have to see how you can grow those secondary and tertiary markets, or whether you need to actually pivot because there's more opportunity in the secondary market, but your tool doesn't quite fit. So that's that retooling component.
Excellent. Thank you for breaking that down.
That was brilliant. So I just wanted to add to that as well. On the free point, that is so important, especially as a startup, being able to give away your product for free, especially in the beginning, in the early stages, to be able to get the feedback from real customers, to know exactly what it is your solution is solving. And if it's not solving anything, and if they aren't able to use your product to solve their problems, then it needs to be adjusted or reworked on, or even scrapped for that matter. And you need to know when to give up on an idea as well. It's very important to be able to differentiate between reality and an idea if you want to scale your business. Yeah.
Another point is, practically, if you're giving a free solution to a client, what are the limits? What are your constraints from your experience? How much would you say, this is free enough, or I'm willing to go the extra mile?
It depends. So there's certain solutions that you could give for free to a customer, to 5 customers. In the beginning, how we worked, it was, okay, we'll look at 5 customers. Those 5 customers will be our first free 5 customers that will be free completely, so lifelong free. But you can also say to them, okay, would you be willing to try out our product for 3 months, for 6 months? Give us feedback, and then you don't have to pay for our product for like a year. So you can adjust it how you want to, or what you think would be good for your business specifically. But it's always important to try and understand where the customer is coming from, what problems you're solving, and getting the feedback. Yeah.
Brilliant. What do you think?
I want to think about
Yes, go ahead.
So essentially, when it comes to free, it's one of those solutions where you have to look at what is it going to cost you. If you have time and you can afford to give time, give away your time. But you also have to be really pragmatic in how you do it. You have to see what market, because basically you're testing product market fit. So you seeing what marketing is going to work. How are you going to get adoption? So for example, with the elements that we created, what we focused on is, okay, here's an idea, we're going to find sponsors. We found a sponsor for the course. We basically launched the course, we covered our costs, and then you basically build on those layers. So for us, the first thing to do when you go into education is you create the education, then you create the platform, then you can grow it, then you can add in features like AI, like other solutions. So while we are focused on AI, that's basically the way that you do it. If you can't afford to pay for the credits that you're giving away, don't spend your money, because you as a founder need to not burn your money. You've got a capital, and that's literally food money. So you have to figure out, like, how am I going to survive for a year? How much time can I devote to this project before it's burning a hole in my pocket? And don't spend your own money. Like, that's the only advice that I can give. Like, let your customers, if you find a customer and it requires you to go in at just cost, like not labor, just cost, find some passionate people to work with you, support you, and that's really the way that you can grow something. It's going in at cost, not costing yourself anything, because at the end of the day, you burn a lot of money on a brilliant idea, but you'll be broke before it actually gets adoption, and then that doesn't help anyone.
Alright then, so by the way guys, I actually wanted to mention something. So among my panelists here, I'm actually the youngest one here. So that also so with that also comes a lot of inexperience. So back to Mukta's point about building something no one cares about without doing the proper research, especially speaking to customers, that's what we did for probably the first year or two, because I had this idea of security, AI security about 2024. So I did my research, ChatGPT will tell you what you want to hear, and then moved into building it into more of a company. So I then saw the co-founders, because I'm non-technical as well. So my co-founders kind of helped me get to that point where we can bring my vision to life. So we started off as a generalist cybersecurity company, so we secured everything Gen AI. So there was no use case as such then, because we had bigger incumbents like your SentinelOne, Protect AI. Those companies have bigger budgets and larger reach. So with 20 developers that they can deploy, they can easily recreate your solution regardless of how differentiated it is. So we niched down and then moved into the healthcare AI security, because that's where the real market pool was, and there's no category leader in it. So we pivoted around October last year, and then by February we already had MVP built. And then when we spoke to customers while we're building, we saw that there was real use cases that we can solve for, which means it gave us the validation that we needed to continue building. Because imagine spending close to a year building something no one really cares about. Already that's a waste in terms of the developers that devote their time into building all of that. So I think if I had to emphasize a point, is definitely speaking to your customers first before you build, because they'll give you what you need to work on as time goes by. And then by the time you're done with the MVP, you've already built a relationship with them, because you've created a solution for them that speaks their language, which also makes it easier for you to sell your solution to them, because there's already a relationship built on trust as well, because you started the process the right way in the beginning, and when the solution is there, it just makes it an easy sell.
Brilliant, thank you for that, Sia. In concluding on the points, right, this was very customer focused. So just a show of hands, who is here really scared to speak to the customers here? No one's scared to speak to the customers? I know I'm scared to speak to my customers. So everyone's confident speaking to the customers, right? And I think the main theme here is the whole market fit customer development journey. Speak to your customers, understand the needs, we're in that age of abundance. I think the time where you build it and they will come, it's not that time anymore. It's like there needs to be a demand, and then you create the supply. Another point of customers, I remember an old quote that someone told me, the customer is always king, and the king never asks for discounts. They make things free, as the history tells us. So let's move a bit into the business now, right? Let's get a little bit more technical. So AI tools, AI agents, and automation sounds really, really cool, but break it down for us, right? In your personal experiences, from the point of a POC to actually getting a deployable production level ready product. what does that process look like? So we spoke about the customer, you've done the customer journey, customer development, you understood the problem, created the ready to go. What does that process look like for you guys internally?
Okay, so I'll start. It's very difficult, especially for me because I'm non-technical. I went to events earlier this year, and it was one of the angel investors, they said that even as a non-technical person in your business, you need to know every single thing about your business. And the reason being is because I can sit in a room with somebody who might be a potential customer and they ask me a technical question or I don't know. That firstly, it makes you look bad. Coming back to the point, what does it look like when you have a POC and then getting to the point where you have to sell the product? A lot of people might find this controversial, but I do feel like your product is only as good as your best salesperson. And the reason I say that is because I've seen some brilliant ideas out there, some brilliant products out there, but they don't necessarily sell that well because it was built by somebody technical. And the solution for me to that is look at partnering with people, partnering with other companies, partnering with other people that may have the skills that you don't in order to be able to get your product out there, in order to get your product known or seen. And for us, that's important. That's where me and my co-founder work really well together. He's the technical and I'm the salesperson, but we are trying to learn to do each other's or fit into each other's roles, because it's very important if something happens to be able to carry that role. If you look at big companies, big corporates like Apple, Nike, you find a lot of them will partner with other companies. And when it comes to startups, the thing that a lot of startups struggle with is trust. We say, okay, no, this person is going to steal my idea, this person is going to steal my employees. Why are you thinking so small-minded just because you are a founder? You need to think big. So if you want to make it big, you need to think big. And I think partnering is key.
Amazing. And I think you raised quite a cool point there on understanding the technicalities if you're not a technical person, but even if you're a technical person, understanding the sales and the customer side of things. How do you do that alignment? So when I was speaking of we're building a POC, it's going to a customer, how do you have that in alignment in building that sort of AI or that automation or using that AI tool internally?
So basically it's about sitting in on not just the development and having those conversations with your developer on what is it this solves, how does it solve it, how does it use it. In the beginning I was calling a WhatsApp chatbot and automation. I had no idea the difference between agentic AI and actual AI and chatbots and things like that. I had no clue. But being able to implement the solution, you need to know what it consists of, the technical questions as well as the technical side of things, to be able to answer every single question that a customer has, to be able to implement the solution or set up the solution for the customer, even as a non-technical person.
Amazing, thank you.
Alright, in my case, I think proof of concept is slightly different because we have to do real life pilots first, which are hard enough to get on their own because, when you're a startup and you're trying to pitch maybe a health tech AI vendor that, for example, there's a company called Heidi Health, it's a clinical scribe. So there's many procedures that are involved in there, and one of their concerns, of course, is first when you're starting up like us, you have to be accredited with a lot of things. For example, cybersecurity, we need certification, so your ISO, etc. So those are important as well. And then on top of that, if you have no skin in the game, they are very reluctant to partner with you. So you have to kind of maneuver and find tricky ways to kind of even set up the first intro call. So I'll speak to this because I did this maybe 2 months ago, by the way. So I tried to get in contact with the head of security at Heidi Health, So he's based in Cape Town. They recently just branched out in South Africa here, by the way. So I couldn't speak to him directly, so I booked a demo. And then once I was in, I spoke to someone that referred to him personally. So just to show everyone here the length that you have to really go to make sure that you get even your first customer, whether it's a paid or a pilot, it's all the same altogether. So I think it's very important, of course, to provide some sort of value that they can immediately see, because if you need or your customer needs a PhD just to understand your pitch, you've lost them already. So I think that's very important. It's something I've seen personally, and in my company as well, I'm the one that deals with everything go-to-market, including distribution, sales, etc. So yeah, I've learned that in real time, and I don't have a sales background, so I had to learn everything on the job basically. So I think it's one of the biggest lessons. And then distribution is very important. So we've tried to partner with companies that have a large network. So since our primary target market is the US, there's a company called Blue Goat Cyber. So they sell medical devices in the US, and they've got years of experience. So they partnered with some of the hospitals that we directly sell to as well. So we've kind of leveraged them through a mutual connection. So there's a lot of AI tools that are used to make people that kind of feed into the right people as well. So in terms of pilots, potential investors, etc. So there's one I'm recommending for everyone here in the room. It's called Body AI. I'm sure some of you know it. But yeah, you should definitely use it. I've been using it for a lot of the conversations that I've been having. So I've met investors, especially from Plug and Play, which is one of the biggest in the world as well. So it's good to have people in that pipeline. So distribution, I think, is everything, because since we don't have skin in the game yet, since we're fairly new, leveraging people that have been in the industry a lot more and also providing value to them could help you in many ways. So I think that's where we're seeing real results from my end.
Brilliant. I think you touched on a very critical point there around if you're taking a POC to production, the governance side of things is very, very critical, especially in your space from a health perspective. Thank you for sharing that here.
So do you want me to be more technical or just like on the...
However you feel. I think we've got both covered.
So essentially for us, it basically boils down to you've got an idea, you've got a bit of buy-in, but now it depends on where you get the buy-in from. So essentially, if you don't have a product manager, you need to figure out how you're going to do the product market fit. For us, it's more around tokenomics, but it could be just around like how you're going to get the economics right on your product. How does it suit and fit the people that you're going after? So what you need to do for us, like whether you're talking to a builder building solo or how I would do it, is that you basically need to have a set of roles. And you need to fill those roles in your team or on your group, and you need to basically go through a checkpoint list. Are we going to, so basically you start with a POC, you've got everyone to look at it, they like it, you've got some buy-in. Now you're building something a bit more. So now you need to figure out like where you're going to get your service from, how are you going to install these things? Are you going to use Vercel? Are you going to use AWS? Once you've made those decisions, you've got to now, as agreeing with Taz, you've got to basically understand each of these components of your business. You've got to be able to step in if someone's not available and actually just like figure out, okay, I've got to make a change here to make something work. So I worked at Exclusive Books a very long time ago, and one of the things that really helped being able to move the needle in terms of branding was being able to go into the back end of the system and being able to edit things to make it work for the customer. If the customer was seeing something at another shop or a competitor's site, and if you weren't able to change it on the fly or to teach people on your team how to change it on the fly, so this was for the e-commerce side, they wouldn't be able to actually effect that change, and you just have a disgruntled customer. So you need to have people that are basically multidisciplined, where they understand just enough about something where they could potentially break it, which is another risk because that's also a consideration. So by giving them the ability to work on other things. So you have silos and everyone needs to operate within those silos. So now when you're developing the solution, you basically would say, I want to build this little bit of a product, I want to build this feature, I want to add on this feature, then you test it. And then from testing it, now basically what I do is I connect to people everywhere. whether that's an event, whether that's LinkedIn, whether that is booking cold demos, and seeing what's going on, and just basically having the opportunity to exchange ideas with people. But also finding founders that you can work with. Because if you have founders that you can work with, they're going to say, hey, there's some free credits over there. Here's where an investor is interested in this. There's an event here that you can go check out. And by understanding those components, that's how you really can like take a product to the next level, or get that little bit of funding, or find a potential client. Because when you do business, it's not about here's my website, click it, buy now. Like in terms of a lot of the services that we are offering, it's business to business, it's more of a tailored solution. So when you're doing a solution like that, you actually have to have someone say, hey, have you heard about this? To a friend, to someone they know personally, and that's how you really get a startup going with that first client, or even the 10th client, because the first 20 clients really will make or break you, unless you landing someone like Amazon or, but essentially you need to actually you need to go through those processes where you're building, you understand everything that's being built, but also don't be fixated on any of the features that you're trying to build. If it doesn't work, if it's too technical, if you don't have the resources that you need, if you don't have the capital that you need to build something, don't scrap it. Build to a minimum point where it's now an MVP within an MVP, but then move on to something else, because the more time you spend focusing on one thing is the less time you have for everything else. And whether you're a solo builder or you're building with a team, there's never enough resources. So that's always something that you have to consider. There's a resource limitation to everything, and that's essentially how I look at scaling, building, and growing ideas.
Brilliant, thanks for sharing that. So if I were to sum up a theme here, we've got systemized thinking and processes, we've got security and governance, and we've got internal alignment. That's the core themes. We've got about 5 minutes left. I want to quickly cover the last points. I'm going to just put it together, and I want to open up with the audience for any questions. So we're African founders, right? We're African entrepreneurs, developers. What are we fighting against?
What our advantage is that we understand load shedding. We understand that everyone is connected to a device. We understand that the youth demographic, I think it's the under 26. I had some stats somewhere. I'll share them on the group. But the under 26 is really connected. South Africa, unfortunately, has 30 years of tech debt. But if you look at the rest of the world, you don't really have to deal with mainframes. You don't really have to deal with the rest of Africa. You don't have to deal with those sort of problems. You can actually leapfrog everything. The same way, like, this actually makes me wonder a lot about South Africa and adoption in South Africa, because South Africa has a certain trajectory. We're very institutional. We have the right rails. We have everything in place. It's very hard to go in certain ways like that. But when you look at like consumer adoption in terms of Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, they basically have millions of users where you don't have those sort of problems. We all grew up with landlines, but in some countries there were no landlines. That demographic is actually growing rapidly. So what I would say is you actually think more about Africa. The internet is the internet. Like, you can literally serve anyone from everywhere. And with AI, you really can serve anyone from everywhere, because we're designing things that can be installed somewhere. So we are no longer limited by our boundaries or borders, or who can you go meet today. You don't even need to fly out to meet your clients. Like, it's basically one of those things where you can do a virtual call for everything. If happenstance is that the business grows to a point where you can go and visit them, fine. But at the same time, it's just about you delivering a solution that's available to the users. And what I'm saying is that basically there is a lot going on in South Africa. There could be more going on in South Africa, but there's a lot available in Africa, and it's a big ocean. And one of the cool things that Chris brought up earlier was essentially that a lot of the data centers are here. And because a lot of the data centers are here, we meet a lot of the compliance for all these other African countries. Well, some of them. You have to do your due diligence. I'm not giving any advice. But essentially, there is that opportunity that exists that allows us to actually have a tool that's here and ship it overseas. And that overseas is actually a market that we understand as South Africans, because basically Nigeria is South Africa. They have load shedding, they have all the other problems that we have. There's almost no difference between us. Basically a few hundred kilometers, and it's a lot harder there. But other than that, it's the same sort of place.
Awesome, thank you.
From my perspective, I feel like as Africans and South Africans, we have an advantage. The reason I say that we have an advantage in the AI space is because we're building with constraints. We're building with constraints that don't exist in the first world countries. And if we have to look at China and DeepSeek, for example, they built DeepSeek with the constraints, and yet people still use it on the same level as OpenAI. And we here in Africa, we're building with those constraints. We're building better products because we had those constraints. So we're building products with constraints that they don't have in the first world. So products that don't need, or products that don't need that much data, products that don't need to be live or to be online all the time because we have load shedding, because we have data issues, because our data is so expensive. And like I said, I was at an event earlier this year, and there were a couple of American people over here, and having a discussion with them, they were really impressed with what we've built and what we're doing so far in comparison to what they have that side, because there's always an excuse for everything. And in South Africa, especially here in South Africa, the youth here, I see, we're hustlers. We will make do. If we have an idea or if we have a plan on what we want to achieve, we're gonna make a plan to do it. Whether it means we hustling on a Saturday, Sunday, we're gonna make a plan to get it done. And I feel like that's what makes us as South Africans and Africans very different to first world countries and the rest of the world.
All right, so I think my point kind of complements theirs as well, but I think first thing I would like to address is the infrastructure. So it's not as developed as it is in Silicon Valley, for example, where you can meet an investor. For example, here I'm looking at Rokomamas here. You can just walk past and sign a deal that easily. We don't have that here. And then on top of that, there's a lot of infrastructural changes that need to improve, especially in a South African context, because I think we'll always be catching up if we don't improve it. So that's the first thing that needs to be addressed. And then the second, I think if you're a young builder here, like myself, I'm 22 by the way, so I'm much like you guys here. So it's not necessarily a lack of resources, but a lack of resourcefulness. So there's a lot of tools that are available online for free. For example, I met my co-founders on an online co-founder matching platform called Y Combinator. Most of you are probably aware of it, yeah. So I think just leveraging what we already have and don't wait for the tools to come. Rather, do some research, find out what you can do with what you have now. And then as time goes by, like I mentioned, the infrastructure will definitely improve as well. And then in terms of business as well, some solutions, for example, that we're building here in South Africa, it's still relatively early because of AI adoption has only just begun here in South Africa like 3 years ago, for example, whereas in the US or other developed countries, it already started years prior. Just to give you some perspective, you have Gemini, they started working on it on 2013. So you can imagine that's a long time ago. Some of you probably read about it 2 years ago. So I think just to who you sell to, I think you have to really keep that in mind. So we are a South African-based startup, but we're selling to the US primarily because AI adoption is not as much here in clinical settings. So we had to kind of like pivot. But one thing we've tried to do as well is establish our footprint here while it's still early. So there is the AI policy that's being drafted, that's going to be drafted in June, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So we've submitted a proposal on how they can reshape the governance, especially around clinical AI models. So that's kind of the ways that we're trying to build trust and credibility within our country setting, so that by the time the infrastructure is gotten a lot better and we can sell to our clients here, we are the first people that they can come to for security and governance. So yeah, with that being said, I think just use what you have and you go for it.
Okay, thank you. We're just out of time.
Okay, that's one short thing.
Yeah, go.
But yeah, in terms of the policy, like guys, all submit something because there's unique things that you're going to see in the market that actually need to change, and we are the ones that are going to be affected by the policy, help set the policy.
Thanks so much. Thank you for that, guys. I want to open up to questions quickly, just 1 or 2 questions. We are quite out of time. One question there at the back.
You mentioned it's around payment systems. Really. You mentioned stablecoins, other payment platforms when you started. The problem right now in the space is that if you want to build payment agents, like protocol X42, something without fear of them empowering, you do not have a proper and reliable South African stablecoin, which means that onboarding becomes a whole lot of mess. And if you want to, let's say you have a platform, you want to interact with something like Stripe, you cannot do that in South Africa unless you use like Paystack or that part, simply because you need a USA company. So you have to learn to register. You shouldn't. So we, as much as we can, the tools that we need to push this thing are very limited. I cannot go now and start to, I'm going to use USDT, USDC, but it's going to become so much more expensive to onboard from the south.
So I kind of agree with you, but I think that it's all about connecting with founders. So there are founders all over Africa who are basically facing the same problems that you're facing, and they are solving that problem. I'd like to explore without endorsing any specific stablecoin in South Africa, but there are quite a few that you could actually look at. So they are available. Like, hit me up on the group later if you want to. There are ways to integrate, and with cryptocurrency, all you need is access to that platform. So essentially, I do work with Stellar. There's quite a few Stellar stable coins that are available, like USDC is available on Stellar. There is Zine available on Stellar, stablecoin in South Africa. There is Zark on Stellar. Between both of those, you could just swap in and out with a token. So yeah, but happy to chat to you and see how I can help you actually set that up. But I do think, yeah, you're right. In terms of some companies, you just, I wouldn't say lie, I would say incorporate, have plans to incorporate in that jurisdiction is your not lying kind of way of doing it. So either incorporating those jurisdictions and then you're good to go. Did I answer your question?
Okay, so my question is, so today, like as a builder, right, we're in the world of AI, and you guys were talking about distribution, right? So I would love to know, because now we're in the world of AI, what's the new mode, right, for business? Is it data? Because I'm thinking about it, if I have an idea and I'm building it, someone can do it on their AI and build the same thing, right? The other day, I didn't want to pay for a subscription, and then I built it myself, right? So I wanted to know, like, in this age as a builder, what's gonna give me the advantage and what's my moat?
From my perspective, what's gonna give you an advantage is knowing exactly, having a plan. You can't just build something and expect it to make money. A lot of people go in with that mindset of, I have a brilliant idea, this is gonna make me money. It's not as simple as that. You have to have a plan of, okay, this is my idea, but how is it going to reach the people that it needs to reach? So you've built something brilliant. Now, how do you get it out to the people that it matters to? Firstly, it's networking, finding groups, finding communities where your customers are, and then also being able to market it to those people and building trust. So one thing that'll differentiate you between somebody that's building the same thing is trust and integrity. So how much you look after your customer and how much you're willing to put in for them. That's what's going to differentiate you at the end of the day.
Alright, and then if you're building a product, you must look at who's the end user. So it could differ on whatever product that you're trying to sell. But distribution usually helps because you can get it to the hands of the end user much quicker than you would if you're doing it on your own capacity. So with us, for example, since we don't have, I guess, direct industry access to healthcare specifically, partnering with an accredited cybersecurity company who sells directly to the healthcare space is one of the quickest ways for us to establish brand credibility within them. And those two methods are white labeling. That works well, especially if you're in early days, because they kind of do the work for you, and then you can just sit and then focus more on what you're building, and then over time, of course, you then create some leverage for yourself.
Yeah, so essentially I've got one last point to add to that. There is no moat. Basically, I follow the philosophy of there is no such thing as IP. Everyone is going to copy you. As you said, you can just copy someone's idea with your own app. You build it, it's out there. So just get better. That's essentially just build, iterate, just keep on feeding your customers yeah, like that guy basically reads all of his what is it, the pressure cooker? What is it called now? Yeah, so he reads all of his reviews, like every single Amazon review that he gets, and he basically develops a product that solves for those things. If someone makes a suggestion, he implements that suggestion, and he basically gives them a free pressure cooker. Something pressure cookers. So he gives them a free pressure cooker. So that's what you need to do. Is you need to constantly be iterating. You can't rely on IP. Suing someone is expensive. You just got to be getting better. That's it. Only way.
Hi there. So I think you guys have touched upon that, but I think it is important because when you having a company, you want to build for success, right? So how do you actually guard against those kind of risks for your brand? Because you are building a brand and you're building it with AI technologies, but you don't want to start building it and it gets cloned or it gets stolen.
Like Mukhtar said, you can't necessarily always protect against that. If you look at China, China has basically duplicated every single American product that has come out. But what makes Apple, for example, different is their customer service. It's the way that they build according to what their customers need, the security. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. It's your customer. Your end user is what matters. And if you know how to cater to your end user, and if you know how to be the best at catering to your end user, you're going to be the best in the market, and that's going to build your brand automatically.
Just to add on to what you said, I think if you're starting from scratch, try and avoid building in a crowded area. So if there's bigger companies than you that have more funding, like I mentioned earlier, there was a question that came up in one of our calls with our advisor. So he said, you guys need to really work on your defensibility, because what happens if, for example, SentinelOne, which is a generic AI security company, what happens if they throw 20 engineers there and they can easily replicate your product? Then you don't have much room or legs to stand on then. So it's very important to work on that defensibility. And there's cycles of innovation, of course, because what is the settle? That means if you had been iterating as the AI adoption occurred, that means you'll be differentiated much more, especially to who you're selling to.
So yeah, I think it really boils down to having a defensible product. So having brand loyalty, I think on the one side is very important. You've got to serve your customers and make sure that they're happy. Don't go into a crowded market, because going into a crowded market isn't going to benefit you. We had the opportunity to build our own CMS, like a HubSpot. But why would we want to? The market is too crowded, the opportunity to resell it isn't really worth it. So do we just pay HubSpot, or do we build something smaller, or what solution do we use in that case? So those are all logical considerations. And I think that you need to make sure that you fit. You basically need to have, the last thing that I like to say is you need to have a card up your sleeve. So when your competitors release something and they've caught up, you need to have something on the back burner that you haven't released to the market that immediately differentiates you. So when they're coming out with, oh, we've got this and that, like you basically just like, okay, well, we just built this here. So it's sometimes also about strategically not going to market. That actually creates that defensibility that you need. But at the same time, you have to be 2 or 3 steps back so you can still go ahead when you've got something that's mature enough, because you can't just sell on something and not let it generate revenue if it has a sunk cost to it.
Mine wasn't a question, it's actually to add on to what you guys were saying for ideation. One thing that's severely overlooked is talking to your warm leads. You find out so much. Like my mom works at an agricultural company. They provide silos for farms and stuff. And it's a German-based company, but they have various franchises all over. And I talked to her about what I build, what I'm doing, what AI can do, and the system that can be implemented in her business, for example. So she came to me the other day and she's like, we always have these clients, but we can't quantify the leads, for example. We don't have a system that manages our projects. There's already an idea that you have that you can work on that is a need for that company that could be a need for many other companies. So I think it's also talk to your warm leads, and in talking to them, you find out what else you can work. You find a solution, like for voice agents in South Africa. I was talking to my friend's mom about I showed her a demo of what it can do. And she's like, oh, can you build an assistant for me that can do this, A, B, and C? And then you find a solution like, oh, Retail AI or Vappy. Those are American-based companies. We don't have something like that here. So why not build it now? Why don't build it? Build one for South Africa, because they have free bandwidth, so they wouldn't pay for airtime and data. Build something that fits around the market that you're in.
Awesome, thank you for sharing that. Guys, we are quite out of time, so we'll conclude our panel discussion here. Thank you all so much, panelists. Thank you so much. Big round of applause to our panelists, guys. And a big round of applause to Jude as well, the geographer. Well done, Jude. What a success this is. We've got a full room and everyone's really, really interesting now. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So thank you everybody for still being around. So we are going to, do we have some VCs in the room, venture capitalists in the room? Anyone from VC here? Do we have founders in the room? All the founders, can I see your hands up? Do we have builders in the room? There's a difference between founder and a builder, right? Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. So let's welcome. Alice from A Upsell. Then let's welcome Dolo. Dolo is here. Do we have Alice here? Unfortunately, Anderson is not available. So they're going to show us what I've built, right? And at the moment they're scaling. So they've built, they've launched, now scaling, right? And they're looking for investors, partners. So if you love what they are building, you are welcome to speak with him after the presentation. So Alice, I'm going to hand over the mic to you.
Okay, good afternoon. It's 12:02. My name is Alexandra Oluwatobi-Giwa. I'm an entrepreneur, and I think before I start, how many minutes do I have? 5 minutes. All right, I'll keep it fast. Yeah. My team members will come join me. Yeah. Okay, I think she went to the minutes. So first of all, I just first want to congratulate and celebrate every entrepreneur in the house. Can you just clap your hands? Yeah. And the reason why I say this is, let's not bullshit ourselves. It's not easy to be an entrepreneur. It's not easy. And if you have a job here, congratulations. Please, you may consider sticking to it, because I've considered it several times. Yeah, I've dusted my CV so many times, and the only reason why I didn't give up was because back in school, as a young student, I think I made my first $4,000 doing Google AdSense back in 2011. So when I remember such memories, it encourages me not to give up. But entrepreneurship is not easy. Anyway, I founded a company called Gigi Mobile. We build technology solutions that helps people save money, time, and helps people to make more money. And the product I'll be presenting here today is called Hair Upsell. So, as an immigrant, I came to South Africa 2022, stayed in Airbnb for 2 years, almost 2 years. So I saw the nooks and crannies, saw everything about Airbnbs, moving around before I got my apartment. Eventually, I started my own sweet space hospitality group where we do short-term rentals. So I kind of understand that ecosystem. Luckily, I'm not a super host, but then I discovered a gap. There is no relationship or business that exists between the host and the guest. How many of us, of course, you know Airbnbs, right? Some of us here are probably even hosts. So I discovered that when the guest checks in and checks out, nothing happens, there's no business, there's nothing. And there could be an opportunity for that to happen. Am I correct? Because when the guest checks, and sometimes I may have a guest that stays for 2 months, and they buy a lot of stuff, they go shopping, they go to the business around, and I don't benefit from the fact that I invested in being in that neighborhood, right? So you being in your neighborhood, you can get paid for it. So we came up with Hair Upsell. I'm sure you all know what hair upselling means. When you book a flight, they tell you, okay, do you want a car, do you want this? That's upselling basically. So Hair Upsell is a platform where, okay, and just scroll. Yeah, so we build the ecosystem around 3 parties. Scroll a little. Yeah. So we came up with a concept called e-commerce. E-commerce revolves around the Airbnb ecosystem. You know, the Airbnb ecosystem built on the hospitality and travel industry. So we are building on the Airbnb industry. Please, can you hear me at the back? Because I was struggling to hear. Okay, cool. So we are building on the Airbnb ecosystem. Airbnb today has about $86 billion market cap, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And so I have a principle, the picks and shovel principle, if you know about it. We don't actually go after the gold, we build things that for the people who go after the gold. You know, in the 1960s during the gold rush, the companies who went after the gold, the companies who supplied them make no money. The companies who supplied them the jeans, the shovels, the picks. So it's called the picks and shovel model. So we look at an ecosystem and we look at the gaps. So my 3 years experience with staying in Airbnb and now becoming a host, I came up with upsell. Now we revolve around like guests. Can you zoom in a little? Just Control Plus, yeah, or Command Plus using the Mac. So we build it around guests, hosts, and merchants. Those are the primary 3 stakeholders, right? And how do we do this? One thing we solve for our travelers or guests or users is convenience. So the first thing is that we want to replace what you're used to. You use Uber Eats, you use Mr. D Food. We're going to come from there, try to replace it so they can buy. Then we'll bring in our AI concierge, right? So you can, okay, yeah, let me finish this, sorry. Then for the host, we allow you to earn more. Now, if you're a host, right now, you can put a QR code in your apartment, then the guest scans it, right, and it automatically populates all the goodies around. So into 3 categories: discover, probably it's hiking, it's a museum, anything at all. So you don't need to go on Google to go search what do I need to do. Everything has been embedded on one page here, and you see it. So we recorded videos. We can actually do this real time. We're still going to practicalize it on your phones. Yeah. But I just want to quickly rush through this. Then merchant. So the merchant is the business. So if you have a business, right, and you want to like sell on upsell, we have a distribution channel. So the host is our distribution channel because every host putting a QR code in your platform means that our nodes or network is growing. Yeah. But let me give you let me set seconds to give you a story. Yeah. Now, when I first started, I've been building this for 4 months. When I first started building, I built a platform, you know, because I'm a very technical person, just built a platform in about maybe a week or so. I started reaching out to hosts, reaching out to people. I received a lot of rejection, and I saw that hosts were not even interested in selling stuff. Some people were not even interested in selling. So we had to rethink the model and say, okay, if you don't have something to sell, we'll give you something to sell, right? I even tried to reach out to artists with very expensive artworks like, you know, somebody could be interested in buying this. You can check it on an apartment and just take it up. Yeah, so, but then we revised the model such that the host does not need to do anything. So you can scroll up now. So as a host, Airbnb host, all you need to do is put a QR code in your apartment or you send a link, your storefront link to your guest, and they automatically see everything around them. Now this is where it gets interesting. Can you just, scroll a little? Yeah, so for those that may not be too technical, I actually anticipated this about 3 months ago because I discovered that some of the people that may want to be receiving our technology may not be familiar with the concept. So I tried to explain but I'm not going to do that here. You can just go on the page. I don't have a slide. Everything is already prepared on the site way before. So what is AI? What is AI agent? Then you can scroll up a little. Then agentic commerce, then agentic hospitality. I'll just say this so that I don't waste time. When you think of AI, I'm sure all of you know about it, then you have what you call AI agent. Then you have what you call agentic, you know. Now, when you look at AI, right, you can think of a car, like an autonomous car, like, you know, some of those driverless cars. The gear is like the AI agent. Then, the agentic AI is the entire autonomous car. Does it make sense? Because there are 2 different things. Now look at where we're going. We're positioning ourselves as agentic hospitality, AI concierge. So for instance, I got some people in the US, right? Like my first investor, I didn't know she used the platform. She just got back to me 2 weeks later. Okay, we'll come there. Let me scroll that now, sorry. I just want to move fast, sorry. Yeah. So now, why not Google it? Some of you will be thinking, why don't I just Google it? Google is solving this problem. I love Google, and I'm sure you do too, right? And but we've brought something. We're not competing against Google for what we are covering is hospitality. But you'd agree with me that there is no hospitality on Google search. For instance, you can come on the upsell now and tell it I'm craving sushi, and to populate all the restaurants that sell sushi around. And it won't just do that. The icing is that it can make a call. So we have an AI, we use Vapi and some other tools, yeah? it can place a call to the restaurant to make a reservation for you. Some of you may know dining plan where you make a reservation to the restaurant. All those things are manual. So where are we going? Agentic hospitality. We are not yet there, but we're developing. So everything on this page has everything that you may want to understand about AirUpsell. At the bottom of the page, I put in the demo link for the audio. 5 minutes may not allow me to play everything, but the link is on the audio, right? So you can just see how, if you play it, it will tell you how an AI can call a restaurant and make a reservation for you. So you don't need to go on like Uber Eats and start searching for what to eat. And sometimes I walk a lot, I'm a workaholic, and I rest sometimes. Restaurants close by 9 p.m. Sometimes you even do orders after that and you don't get your order. You crash with Uber. So when your AI knows you, it reminds you, okay, usually take this around this time, you can order for this, or just say do the usual. That's where we're going. So yeah, you can scroll down. So basically what we're trying to push here is AI concierge. You know what a concierge is? An assistant. Like when you go to your hotel, they give you that a very premium welcome and stuff like that. Or they get your card, that kind of this concierge. That's what we're building, trying to build up. The first one to replace what people are used to, which is the usual Uber Eats. That's what we're going around. Yeah, okay, go up. So that's like a general conversation. Scroll down please, just a little. Is this one again? Just scroll down. Oh, you're going up now. Yeah, so this is more like a conversation. I'm just going to show you a screenshot, but before my presentation ends, you can actually interact with Gigi. So we have two AIs on our platform, Gigi and Nova. They have two different shifts. So one takes left shift, so you probably might need Gigi around this time, right? So Gigi is going to actually give you a gift. Everybody here is going to get a gift from Gigi today. So you're going to interact with it, but don't waste time. This is how the AI is going to show. Like you're going to interact with it. You can tell you what you want to get. At the same time, if you don't want to use AI because sometimes it may be clumsy, you don't want to charge, you don't want to buy food, you can also go to the interface and buy. Okay. Well, so it's actually a screenshot from someone in the US. She used the app without telling me and sent me feedback 2 weeks later. And that was the version 1. I've built like 3 different versions in the past 4 months. And can you scroll a little? So the first image you see here, this is somebody searching on Google. That's over maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screenshots. Searching on Google, looking for a restaurant that fits our description at that point in time. Meanwhile, with just one prompt or just a request, we can solve it on AirUpsell. So these are 2 different conversations with the same person. You can see she said, I said, actually, how's everything with you? She was like, Mel's dinner. Then scroll up a little. She said, I tested a help in this small town, and this restaurant was one of the recommendations. It's delicious. Wow. I said, we've eaten here twice. So she didn't tell me first. She was just testing it, like, she's never met me before. We just met through my uncle. Yeah. And I said, I'm going to post how I found it, your app. So imagine if we were partnered with Mel's Diner, we would have gotten 20% commission. Because that's how we also generate money. We make commissions from restaurants. And in the future, we're going to move to subscriptions, basically. But my priority is first getting product market fit. Yeah, because I also belong to a group of hosts, Cape Town's group, like about 400 hosts. But I'm not keen about pushing like so much right now. I just want to like put the product in the market and people enjoy it. Yeah. So even if you're not the guest in an Airbnb apartment, you can still use the app. That's what we're doing. So one thing we're trying to achieve is agentic hospitality, end-to-end hospitality. But it can't be. It's not like a unilateral disruption. It has to like be a stage like blockchain. Blockchain is disrupting industries gradually. AI has a bigger momentum, but it's also disrupting gradually. Yeah, scroll. Yeah, so this is the voice memo. If you go to what is e-commerce, if you go to airupsell.com now and click this link, you can download this voice memo and play it at your convenience, at your time. So you see how an AI can call, and also some of you may already be familiar with it because it's an AI community. So yeah. So I configure this in a way that you don't need to interact with it. So if it doesn't hear from you in 2 seconds, it will continue to speak, right? But it's going to like talk to you as though you're the restaurant and I'm placing an order on behalf of Alex or yourself. So that's what we're trying to achieve. I've spoken to a few hospitality groups and they're very interested. They've asked us to send like a demo, and they really love it because you don't need to even type. You just need to like give you the usual, and it does it. Yeah. So we can move to the video. Yeah, we can move to the video. So what I did before coming here, I wanted to save you guys time because I didn't plan on staying more than 5 minutes, right? Is that I did this video, I just put in the address of this place. So if you do that now, you're still probably going to get the same result. Why is it blurry? So the first time you land on the page, it requests for your address, so you can just skip and go to the next page, right? So can you maximize it a little? Yeah. So the basic idea is that in 3 categories, we have food, we have the discover, and we have beauty. So you're looking for a spa, you're looking for a place like where you can do your nails, or where you can request for people to come to your apartment or whatever. You can find them all in one sweep. Yeah. So one thing why I did this video is because I wanted to show you these categories. Yeah. These are not things like you find directly on Google. I mean, if you're technical, you can find your way. But like I mentioned in the beginning, one thing that we're selling, and if there's anything you're going to take home, is convenience. People will pay for convenience. I will pay for convenience. I don't know about you. Will you? I'll give that to you. So the categories here, you can't see it, but I know it. I coded it. So I'll just don't worry, stay. I'll explain. Yeah. So this is vibes. For instance, like the first thing is like date night, family hangout, workplace. So we have about almost different 11 vibes. So let's say, depending on what you want and what you're looking for, you can just filter by vibes. You understand? You can't get that on Google, not now, maybe in the future, but not now. We can get it on L-Cell. So depending on the kind of vibe you want, you can just toggle and it switches it for you. Then you can look at the result. Then you also have cuisine, you have service types, you have distance too. So if you want maybe a walking distance like 500 meters, or up to 10 kilometers, you can filter. I think there are probably about 72 results when I populated this page. Then that is just one category. If you move to the next category, which is okay, just go to the beginning of the video. Your internet is working, right? Let's do real time. Let's do real time. I did the video as a backup because I'm always over prepared. You know, the internet also messes up in the best places, right? So we can do real time. You can just put in the address of this place, then to populate. So while you're at that, right? I also want to say before we launch, we're planning to launch in Cape Town. Yeah, within the next 1 month, we're still putting some infrastructures in place. We're also trying to build trust. You know, as a foreigner, I must tell you the truth, there's been challenges. Yeah, it's not, I know you guys, it's nothing easy, and I'm not ashamed to say it. There's been a lot of challenges, and but it's part of the journey, and we're really hoping to overcome that. Yeah, and also, yeah, so this is the page where you can list your storefront. That is all the host needs to do. So if you're an Airbnb host, all you need to do here is just put the name of your apartment and put the name, the address, then click launch your storefront. That's all. And start earning up to 15% commission if you're an Airbnb host. We pay 70% to Booking or about 3% to Airbnb. You can recover all those revenues by just putting the QR code in your apartment or automate your storefront link to your guests. I'd have loved to show you how the QR code looks very beautiful. So it's not just like any QR code. It's a QR code that shows that it's something that will invite your guests to scan. And we have a 91% scan rate currently. We've not yet launched, it's still testing. 91% scan rate. So, also if you're a business, if you can go to the site, just go to list your business. We're currently covering businesses in 3 categories, which is they're called merchants here, which is the restaurant, the guys who offer experiences, like maybe you take people hiking, maybe you're even a yoga instructor or a fitness trainer. So the type of restaurants that families vibes and everything, you guys know the rest. So to close, yeah, we're giving away 400 rands voucher, air voucher to everybody. And all you need to do is just go on your phone, go to airhotel.com. I think I'll do it too because I need it. Yeah, because we're a business. And there's a reason and a strategy behind this. We're not just giving out money because, okay, we have money. No, we don't even have a looking for investors. If you're an investor, I'm happy to. Right? No, go to the home page.
Okay.
So we're giving out 400 rand voucher to everyone here. Okay, you can just click on use my location or yeah. And the way you can redeem this voucher, just talk to Gigi and tell it that click on the voucher button. So click on Gigi. Click on that cute link there. No voucher, click on voucher. Yeah, just click on I want the voucher. So it's asking for a password, and the password is the first thing I mentioned, convenience, and that's all we're offering. Just type convenience, that's the password. So as you're entering your email, she'll be getting it here real time. So we'll see the people that are registering and recording. So just put in convenience, then to request for your email, then put your email, we'll capture it in our backend. So when we fully launch, you can use the 400 rands. Yeah, but it's a strategy, I must say, right? The 400 rands is not something you can just check out immediately. You would need to, every time you want to check out, it's going to reduce 50 rands from your checkout. We are not, let me say Father Christmas. But please, because we're still building. Yeah, and thanks to my team, Teho, Noxie, and my friend Pamela. Yeah, so thank you very much.
You can actually go on to daliso.com. That was actually all vibe coded. An investment from SpaceX. So it seems like they're turning between the agents and the chat partners. I think anybody who's actually used Cloud Code or Codex would be that it would be through the terminal. So as a terminal UI to actually get things done. But if you actually download the GUIs, that's how I've actually been coding most of my apps. So I'll actually be talking about a little bit of a success story just from the first of this month, which was obviously April Fool's. But yeah, it's pretty much describe, generate, iterate, ship. And that's how I actually even built these same slides. I did not even put in that much effort to actually get this out. It was just on the basis that Jude was like, hey, where's your presentation? I was thinking, okay, I'll actually just make a presentation. So these are just simple tips. I'll actually even host this on my website as well, so at least you guys can go through it. But yeah, just be specific. Make a personal website, single page, whatever it is. You can even show examples, so upload any pictures, you can put them as attachments, as inspiration. Then ask the AI to ask you, for the guys who are actually standing, you can actually sit down. I forgot to actually give you guys that instruction. So similar to like your AI, you can prompt, hey, if it loses or hallucinates, you can always just make sure that it actually corrects itself. And then share the errors verbatim. I typically just take the errors, chuck them into the chat window and get it to actually get sorted. And make it tell you what it's about to do. So that typically also helps when it comes to the generation of the code or whatever you're actually trying to do. But enough, back in the day when it came to Google, people struggled on how to Google. The easiest thing is to Google how to Google. So now you can actually just prompt how to prompt. So I typically use that approach where I actually ask a prompt. This is actually my workflow. I'll actually talk about it a little bit later. But you ask the prompt on how to prompt in a particular platform, use that prompt, and often you're actually able to get a better output in that regard. So yeah, this is for any of you.
So I'm curious about how much context will give you a prompts. Because for me, I basically write everything that I can think of in a dump and say, write this for me, dump.
I'll actually talk about that a little bit later, if you don't mind. But yeah, this is obviously a challenge for everybody, if you can, is to build your own personal website and ship it by Sunday. Ironically so, we've got a long weekend, so you can actually ship something of your own. I would obviously just recommend Lovable for quite a few people. But yeah, just use any platform and actually see as to how things go. So pick the one thing, which is the call to action. Use a free stack, be it that is ChatGPT, Claude, GitHub for your source, and Cloudflare's pages to host. That's just my stack. But if, for example, you want to just start, I would actually recommend Lovable. And then from there, hey, you've got a live URL, send it to a friend, and even write your first blog post if you want. And then 5 ways that this goes wrong. And I'm a bit surprised that these slides have not gone wrong so far. So there's synthetic confidence. The AI is wrong, confidently so. Read what you get before you trust it. Also, no version control. Typically, so when you're actually producing quite a lot of the code, I think this is more for your coders and the likes. If you don't use version control and you're prompting away and you're building your website and it makes a mess, you can't actually revert back unless you're lucky. I know that ChatGPT does allow you to go through revisions, but most of the time you still have to just learn the basics in terms of web development. Then the next one will be that it also invents its own libraries. Not to say that that's always the case, but with AI it does actually get a bit loony at times if you're not too careful. And then no local testing, it's a bit subjective, but as far as it goes, typically I actually have a few devices with me. I actually run my own local server, go and open it on my phone and the likes, also check other devices, because you'll be very surprised when it comes to building quite a lot of the same stuff. That what you see on the screen is very different from the live representation on the device and the likes. And then also feature drifts, as in certain things do shift when it comes to you adding things, and I think even with variables. These days I haven't actually checked my code because most of it isn't security prone, most of it is just plain. So like a dictionary, I don't know who would want to hack the dictionary, but yeah, that's just one thing to look at. And then yeah, this is actually an interesting one that I've actually just gotten into. If you know Cloudflare, they've got a website that is called agentready.com. You can even put in daliso.com and you'll see that I've actually scored, I think, 92. Before it was actually scoring 23, but yeah, I just used the AI to actually just get that sorted. But yeah, I think the call to action is just pick one weekend, pick one project, and just prompt. But I think these are actually the outdated slides, but either way, I actually did have OpenClaw, which would be Wiz at the back to actually assist me with being able to generate the PDF of this. But yeah, just to give you a bit of an idea, there was a question about the prompts and the likes. What I've actually just done is that I use ChatGPT. That's where I formulate my prompts. I typically use it because of the memory context window. So being able to actually add quite a lot of things, so like even talking about the business and the likes, getting that through. Then from there, I actually ask about a prompt, especially when it comes to like UI and the likes, and using that in Claude Code. Then from there, what would actually happen is that in ChatGPT, it's typically an approach that I use, which is to say, generate me the prompt for the front end, and then generate me the prompt for the back end. And the back end, I actually get that done through Codex. So that's I necessarily actually just use, right now it's 5.5, but before it was 5.4. It'll be on extra high, and I typically just use the same general response, which would be do whatever it is and spawn the agents, and often it actually just does the work. So the thing is that I think one of the most impressive projects, I'm just talking of like a personal project, which was the devilsaidictionary.com. It started off as a website. That probably took like 1 or 2 weeks to actually build. Then from there, it was just a case of saying, hey, build this into an iOS app or cross-platform app. Then it was able to do that for me. Then from there, it was the fact that it was firstly in Expo. From Expo, I actually asked it to turn it into a React Native app. Then from React Native to native Swift. And that would be Kotlin and Compose. So yeah, pretty much now gotten it from a website into native code, and everything's actually hosted on Cloudflare. So I'm paying like zero when it comes to most of the same stuff. So obviously with Apple, you have to pay your $99 if you want to host on the App Store. But yeah, I was able to release, I think, around 10 apps, get them all released within 10 days, just this month. And the first one, funny enough, was the Devil's Dictionary. But I've even just built basic apps for myself. As in the one that I have right now is called It's a Date.2. You go into it, you just select a time that you have, checks your calendar to check if the date is available, or else it will actually tell you that there's not a date. The other project, funny enough, that I've actually built right now, and I'm still working out, is called It's a Vibe. So you come to an event, you save each other's contacts in one form or another, but the usual thing would be to figure out who exactly you've actually saved the contacts of. So with Apple, you've got Apple Shortcuts. It actually uses that approach where it grabs the last 5 contacts. You can actually even increase the amount of contacts that it actually grabs. And it can actually even act somewhat like a CRM, being able to actually give you the degrees as to when was the last time you actually interacted with a person. You can even put in notes and the likes. So you can say, person was a dud, hey, it was neutral, or it's a hot lead and the like. So yeah, it was just the fact of It's a Vibe was an iteration of It's a Date, because It's a Date was, hey, let me just check my own calendar before I can actually say, hey, I'm actually free on that day. It's a Vibe, it was just a case of come to an event, I need to actually find something. So even like with the other applications I'm actually building, I'm not too sure, Jude, if you can go on to website for me. It's called justsomething.app. So justsomething.app was, again, building over the weekend. I just needed simple apps. So for people who don't have high blood pressure and the likes, you don't have to worry about that. But if you want to actually record your blood pressure and you just jump into the health app, you have to go to like heart, and then you have to just go to your blood pressure and then press the plus button and the likes. The app that I just built was called Just BP, Just Blood Pressure. So all that you just do is put in the 2 figures, and as far as it goes, I even had fun being able to build an Apple Watch app where it actually just tracks your live heart rate and actually gets put into that. Same thing with Just Weight, as in you step onto a scale and you want to just weigh yourself. It synchronizes directly into your Apple Health app. Then the other one, if you just go all the way to the top, is called Just Glucose. This is for people, obviously, I think in terms of diabetes and the likes. Funny enough, I'm actually wearing an active glucose monitor. I'm not diabetic, but it was just interesting to know what food that I actually eat and the likes, which would actually spike up my glucose levels and the likes. But I think it's also useful for people who actually do have diabetes and you actually want to check as to how that actually plays out. But the same sort of thing. If you've got a manual glucose monitor, you take your injection, you punch in the figures, it actually synchronizes with your Apple Health. So you don't have to tap through all these other buttons just to get to that information. But with just glucose, if you do have a glucose monitor, it's able to actually even just keep that record and show you a history right in the app itself. So you don't have to jump into the health and jump through all these other sections. And then last but not least, it's an application that I'm actually still refining right now, is Just Food. I think quite a lot of these applications are quite complicated. I think even like with MyFitnessPal and the likes, I don't need to have the calorie tracking and all this other stuff. It was just the fact that, hey, for breakfast, dinner, lunch, the drinks that I have, I can just take a picture and it just reports it. And it has a whole history as to what exactly is playing out and one from another. But yeah, all of this that I'm actually just showing you, all vibe coded. No intervention with me having to lift my finger in one from another. It was all a case of take some inspiration, so it's like a Pinterest board and the likes, and that's how you can actually build quite a lot of these same things. So even like, for example, if you look at the whole layout, even the privacy policy, that was all just done through AI, so I didn't even have to write a single word myself. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm not too sure if there are any specific questions. I can even give tips and tricks for anybody who's actually keen. Yep, what's in front?
So my thing is, I've recently got into that coding, and the problem is, so for example, yesterday I was trying to code a artist project.
Yeah.
But the problem is, the code that the AI is giving me fails to work in my environment. I think it's giving me some generic environment, and even if I give it some context as to what my environment is like the specifics of my environment, it still gives me prompts that don't run in the command prompt.
Well, I suppose have you actually asked the question in ChatGPT to say, I've tried this prompt and it doesn't actually work?
Yeah, I even screenshotted like the errors that the CMD gives me
Okay.
to put it back into the ChatGPT, and then he sometimes gives me like, maybe he gives me one solution, but then there's other problems that are constantly coming up.
Oh, okay. Are you using Codex?
No, I'm just using CMD, Git. There's this Git repository. It looks purple. I don't know what it's called specifically, and then also, it's just those two basically.
Yeah, so my recommendation, download Codex. The Codex GUI. I'm not too sure if you can go into openai.codex. It's just my preference, but you can also just look into Anthropic's version. It's just that the reason why I actually recommend Codex is that it's free on every tier. The free plan, paid plan, every plan that's actually there. So if you go there, you'll have the option to actually download it, and it will be able to do everything for you. So even with your Git and all that other stuff, the nice thing with Codex right now is that they've actually added the option to chat with it, similar to the ChatGPT application. So my recommendation is that if you just use Codex, you can point it to the folder for the project that you're working with, and you can actually talk to your code, and we'll be able to describe the issues that you're having. Yes. Yep. Windsurfer, yeah. Okay, I've been held for time. Hopefully it's just a quick question. Just to wrap things up,
Just quick one. Ideally,
you said if you use Codex specifically for backend, and
Yeah.
you use something else.
Cloud code. I think it's just a matter of yeah, it's just primarily text. That's it.
And then what about
Yeah.
it's just text? It's not
Yeah.
necessarily a specific aspect.
No,
because
no.
I've built with cloud code for both front end and
And
back end.
Yeah, no, and I suppose it goes up to everybody's preference, doesn't it?
My name is Mr. I am a founder with Cloud Solidify. I'm also a director, an AI engineer, specialized in IoT. And we build solutions for enterprise and different companies. Can you guys hear me? You can't? And now? Better? Alright, so I should speak up. Alright. This Pogazi. I'm Pogazi. Founded Cloud Solidify. I work for Orinoco Holdings as a director. I'm also an IoT and AI programmer or engineer. So I've been building solutions for other companies and clients that focus mostly on presence. Presence is, okay, I don't know first, like show the QR code. So if you can't get it now, you can't get it later as well. Okay. So Human Eye is basically an AI operating system. Works like another assistant, but it is different. It is tailored for specific needs. And in this case, I'll be presenting one that's more focused for personal use and personal development. So what I found, or the problem was, is that everyone right now is becoming a builder because it's easy to build. The problem that I'm having, or the problem that I'm foreseeing, is that there are a lot of apps out there, sort of UI as well. And what that causes for me is a lot of entropy, meaning there's a lot. I'm overwhelmed with everything. So I wanted a way, a workflow, where I can interact with my digital twin, with myself, and make sure that my digital twin links across all my life, like departments, work, relationships, and all of that. So that is why I built, I can speak through. Yeah, so as I was saying, the problem that we have is everyone is building apps, too many apps, but they don't really know you personally the way that you actually would like. So Human Eye just represent your digital twin. Yeah, so you stop basically having to go to each and every tool, and it's designed to just meet you where you are, to adapt and grow with you as you grow as well. Alright, so these are the 5 pillars and how it works and how it appears across your life. So, like I said, the presence is appearing before you need to ask it. The coherence, it unifies signals, or it unifies your life, it brings more clarity basically. The continuities, the memory, the governance, it enforces your priorities, boundaries, and decisions, and it adapts to your life as your stages, or as you adapt and you grow. I have been given a 5-minute timer, so I'm going to try and not be too long. This is how it shows up across your life, and I've basically added more on the presentation so you guys can go through it as well. This is how it shows up across every department of your life. I will just demonstrate quickly how I use it for myself to solve my problems, to solve problems with maybe clients or wherever I need. Okay, you can go. Did you see? Did you go on? Okay. Okay, next again. Yeah, this is just basic. Go back again. So I just tried to kind of add examples as to how I interact with it, but I will also just show you another demo. So yeah, we can just maybe just show them a demonstration and an overview. Alright, so I call it Human Eye. Human Eye is basically a combination of, humans, you, men representing society, I, the intelligence. And also another meaning when it translates is to Ubuntu, so it also focuses on that and it builds upon those foundations or principles. This is how I interact. Obviously, answers, I talk to it. Every morning it sends me a brief like, hey, this is how your day is looking like, this is what you did yesterday. And Human Eye, hi Sips, yeah, it's just basically an example of me interacting with it and it giving it feedback, basically. Can go on. This is a demonstration. I was watching a video and I just wanted to remember it, so I took a picture and I added it to my chat, and it actually aligned it with something that I was already working on, like a project for another client. So okay, this is actually how it aligns. This is what you can use from this. So, can go on again. I don't know if that's the last one. All right, this is the last one. So I'm choosing WhatsApp for this because I feel like with all these apps, I don't have to admin. I just want to speak. So it's easy if I send voice notes. I do also send voice notes to it. So I speak and it has a response back to me. You can clone it and can have whatever voice that you want. So as I was saying, I don't want to go through all the apps that I have on my phone, which is so many. I just wanted something that unifies everything and brings more clarity and just adapts with me. So I also use Human Eye on WeTech, where I communicate with it. So I'll just speak like, hi, morning, Human Eye, how's my day looking like? And it will just. Unfortunately, I was preparing for this and I was testing everything and kind of like rate limited. So I can't do the WeTech, But I just wanted to show that, and I just wanted to share as well what I see as to be what is emerging in the tech space. I think that we're moving away from having a lot of UIs. We just want to speak as people, especially with so many people becoming builders. And this is just something that helps with that. So the final page I'll just show is just for visual people, I guess. You can show the digital twin overview. Basically, if maybe after a long week or after a long month or whatever, you need to see what's going on in your life. And these are the departments. It adapts to who you are. So if you speak a certain way, you have certain beliefs and you have certain views. So it adapts to that. I like to refer to myself as the oracle sometimes. So this is basically it, telling me the entropy levels in my life. And yeah, so this is just for demonstration purposes, just to kind of show visual people or whoever who wants to see what it might look like for you as well. Currently, we are using this, we're testing on site at an enterprise company. We have designed a unique solution for them. So we are getting a lot of requests from different industries. They are very much interested in this integration of IoT with technology. And I think I'm very much interested in the digital twin and how it actually improves your life. So these are the kind of things that I'm interested in and I'm building. And yeah, I don't know if I've done, I don't want to talk too much. You already gave me 5 minutes. Sorry.
Thank you. Do we have any question for her? Any question? Okay.
Pardon?
About data logging. You said it's so that's a lot of information about me and what I do. So that's a huge security risk. I don't know if you've thought about that. Because previously when I tried to, for example, there was a time when I was doing something and then I would not log the data on my own endpoint, but if I just go for Google Studio or OpenAI Studio, I'll still see the logs there. Because when you get that, unless you're using notifications or something, but when you get that, it also logs it on that end. So I don't know if how you're handling that, but that's a lot of sensitive information.
Alright, so you're saying data when it comes to when it is where it's stored or how it.
Pictures, I'm asking stuff like how do you handle that data on your end for security risk?
Okay, so when I started, I built it locally and I segregated the industries and the specific things that remain unique to me. So I refer to that as the soul. So I program my soul with my values and whatnot, and I give it certain instructions. But when it comes to certain things being shared, I have put in strict rules. we're building this on GCP, and the first model that we used was the Opus one, but it was kind of costly. So now what I'm working on is to make it, affordable for students and everyone. So there's like a cheaper mode where we're using different similar agents or other models that can do the job. But when it comes to safety, we have put measures. I don't know exactly how to explain, or if that satisfies you. Okay, so I'm hosting everything now like on a server, like on a Google Cloud, right? And that's where all of that is currently controlled. So if you have your own digital twin, currently I'm only testing with like my team, because I was the first one to kind of use it. I was like, okay, I like it a lot. And then I gave it like my partner who also works for us. And we've just been testing those things. But when it comes to the enterprise, there's a completely different model and the solution that we're building. It doesn't interfere and it does not cause any problems like that. But this is a personal one. Honestly, it had been an idea that I had for a long time, and I think 2 Sundays ago I started working on the spec, and I've just been building for the last week or 2 because I really see the benefit. So that's why, because I wanted to like give it to other people as well who can test and just make it a better product, basically. Thank you.
If you still have any question for her, maybe you want to know more about the product, maybe partner with her, please. She's still around. You can meet her to discuss more with her. So I'm going to welcome Lulu from Yoko. She has something to tell us. Yoko is one of the biggest fintech in South Africa, so she has 1 or 2 things to say. Then while she do that, we are giving away 500 rand. We're going to do a whole game now. We're going to start very soon after our speech. The highest winner is going to go with 500 rand today, but we can also do in dollars. Right? So thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Lulu. I am from Yoko. I do a lot for Yoko. It's an inside joke. But I am very much in the innovation space, very much in the space of discovering how we can collaborate and create new ideas and new spaces for everybody. I came here with one of my colleagues. She's also very much in that space. Yoko is very big on growth. Growth for all SMEs and for all businesses. And that's something that resonates with me, and that's why I'm still there for the past 5 years. One thing that we wanted to say is thank you for allowing us to be here. Thank you for allowing us to meet all of you guys. Wow, being in a room of so many smart people, it's intimidating, guys. It's very intimidating. But also, we are open for collaboration. Yoko is a young business that is barely starting out in the AI space, and we are open for collaboration. We want to hear the ideas. We want to be able to grow with you, grow with your business, and what we don't have, let's build it together. So we are here. I'm here with Kat. If you want to drop off your business card, if you want to drop off an idea, I'll give you my email address and I'll put you in the right space at the right time. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. And also, we have some incredible partners for this event. Thank you to all our partners. Thank you to Yoko. Thank you to AI. I'm gonna bring that up later. But now let's do some game. So I'm gonna start this game now. Anybody's allowed to participate. Just scan. And so I'm gonna start now. It's gonna allow everybody to scan. Once you scan, then you can join. It's purely AI focused. 10 basic questions. So please scan, then put the pin there, then you can join. But you guys let me know if you are ready. I'm seeing Shati, I'm seeing Chidi, I'm seeing Paka, I'm seeing Michi, I'm seeing Andrew. I'm seeing Beat. 13 people join now. I'm seeing Letu. I'm seeing Jack. Who's gonna win this game? Are we good to go? I've seen only 15 people. Can we make it 20 or 30? Cool. Who's gonna go home with free cash, free money? Are we good to go? Are we good to go, guys? Limit reach. Oh my goodness. So you can only take only 16 people. Sorry guys, this is not premium one. So we got to start now. Are we good to go? Okay, so you can go now. Your time is going. I think 20 seconds for each patient. 7, 6, 5, 4, 2, 1. How many winners do we have? We have 7 winners, 7 answers correctly. Okay? So let's go to the next question. Complete the sentence. Transformers use dash attention. Is it random? Is it channel wise? Is it self? Is it global only? Time is taking. Oh my goodness. Okay. So the answer is self, right? So next one. Which data hands models LTs most? The time is going. 11, 10. Eight correct answers. Amazing. Okay, cool. Next one. This is simply true or false answer. AI fairness need careful data choices. True or false? Time up. 11 correct answers. That was amazing. Cool. Okay, next one. Which laws fit classification best? Is it mean squared? Is it crossed entropy? Is it Hoover loss? Is it triplet loss? Come on guys, I'm seeing 6 answers, 7 answers. Come on. Oh my goodness, 5 correct answers. Amazing. Question number 6. Which part update model's weight? Is it tokenization? Is it batch? No. Is it polling layer? Is it back propagation? Time is ticking. Only 2 correct answers. Okay. Which task suits deep learning best? Is it disk defragment? Is it image recognition? Is it file compression? Is it sorting emails? Come on, guys. Time is up. Wow. 5 correct answers. Incredible. Kudos, guys. Next one. Number 8 now. How do you feel about learning AI today? Do you feel so curious and excited? Do you feel total beginner vibes? Or are you a bit unsure? Are you pretty confident? Oh, you're a bit unsure, right? Only one person got it right. Okay. The last one now. Okay, number 9. Which year was GPT-3 paper released? Come on, 2022. Oh, 2020, right? That was 2020. Okay, so this is the last one. Which improved generalization most? Is it dropout? Is it higher RL? Is it more epoch? Is it bigger batch? Come on, drop out. How many do we have? Just one correct answer. 0 correct answer. Oh. So let's see who is the winner. Okay, check with him here. Andrew. Okay, sorry, that is Andrew is 3, 2 is Packer, 1 is Michi! Come on! Come on! Michi, we need to see. Yeah, we need to see. Come on. Sorry? Yeah? I'll be good for you. This t-shirt for you. And some cash. Okay, sure. So that is for you. Thank you so much for being part of the Gauteng AI community, the first launch meetup. Thank you for coming around. So we're trying to manage the time very well. I think it's time for, if you still want to eat, the drink we brought is too much, the water is too much, the pizzas is still left. If you still want to take more. So I think now we are coming to the end of this program. Time for networking and all of that. And if you just want to work with us for the next edition, feel free to come and meet me, maybe any of the team, and we can plan with you, we can partner with you, we can collaborate with you in the next edition. And once again, thank you for coming around. I hope you enjoyed this meetup, and give us a feedback. We're going to send you some feedback links, so give us a feedback. If you want us to continue to run this, we'd actually appreciate your feedback, right? So thank you once again, and networking time, yeah, so thank you.